Levzow. I'm the Vice President of Marketing Technology for Del Taco Restaurants. And I want to talk to you today about my degree that I got in college. So I have a degree in theater, and oftentimes I've been asked, why? How does that help you? And I joke about it and I say, oh, it's super useful, but it actually is. So today, I want to tell you the top 8 things that having a theater degree has taught me about marketing and digital leadership. So number 1, how to communicate. How to be on stage, because we have to tell a story. On stage, you have to tell a story and get through to your audience. And so being on stage, telling that story, impacting the audience is exactly what I do as a leader in marketing. I put out stories that people want to feel, to want to crave, to do something with. Number 2, how to appreciate all areas of the business. So this is really important because obviously I love marketing, but all the different areas of the business are important. So in theater, we had to study stage design, lighting, props, costuming. I know how to sew. I know how to build pieces of furniture. I know how to paint pieces of furniture, put them on stage, but it creates an appreciation for all the different aspects that go into putting on a production. That is extremely important because without an appreciation and an understanding of what all the different departments do, how can we truly do our job to the best of our ability? So in marketing, in every organization that I've been in, I want to understand, what does ops go through? What does supply chain management go through? Because that helps me be a better marketer, a better digital marketer, and understand how I impact the business, because that's the most important. That final product that you put on stage or you put out to the customer is what you have to look at. Number 3, public speaking. So what we're doing now. I remember sitting in a college course and being asked to sit in a chair. Everybody got to stare at you for 5 minutes, and they said, just sit there. And all of a sudden I started fidgeting. I started wringing my hands. I wanted to speak. It was very hard to sit in silence and just let everybody look at you. And you realize, what are those things? What are those things we need to work on? I used to finish every sentence with okay or A. I'd be like, how are you, A? That's crazy. But I didn't know I did that growing up until someone pointed it out, and I was able to work on that in my public speaking. So of course, standing on stage, speaking to people is something that I love to do now and I love to do then, but that theater degree helped me with it, and it helps me in marketing every day. 4, testing and trying. We often talk about in marketing why it's important to test. Well, on stage is where I learned it. You might try saying a word differently. You might try, are you supposed to be crying or laughing? How does that impact the audience? How does that come across? And there's sometimes not a right way, but there's a most impactful way. And so we do the same things in marketing, whether we're testing, we're A/B testing, we're multivariate testing, whatever it might be, there's a strong correlation into not feeling like we have to have the right answer, and we're open to all the options that are out there, which comes through testing. And I always tell my team, let's test, and then guess what that test is going to lead us to? The next test. And then the next test. And that's very important because we test. And again, there might not be any right answer because every time seasons change, other variables change. Costs might go up, costs might go down. So we continue to test to find out where we can maximize revenue. And in theater, we continue to try different ways to figure out what got through to the audience. Number 5, we get to be creative with budget. Oftentimes theaters are nonprofits, and we're given very, very small budgets to put on a full production. That means whether it's the lighting people, the prop people, everybody has very small amount of dollars to work with, and it's allowed us to get really creative on what we do and where we help out and where we volunteer. And so with marketing, we do the exact same thing. Oftentimes, our budgets are never as big as we want them to be, and we have to get creative. We have to figure out how we're going to make it work, where we're going to not cut corners, but find efficiencies in order to make our budget worth fighting for. Number 6, there's more than one way to look at something. Oftentimes you'll see a show be performed, whether it's on TV or on stage, and just because something's said a certain way, there might be a different meaning to it. Or you hear a speech, and what someone takes away from it is very different than what you took away from it, or how it impacted you. And that's the same in marketing. There's often more than one way to look at data. There's often more than one way to look at a story. And being able to look at things from different angles and understand, why did you feel a certain way about it and why did you feel a certain way about it, helps bring people together, helps bring that data together, and have a full understanding of it, a full understanding of the customer journey. But that comes from theater and understanding that there's often not just one meaning to something. Number 7, and one of my favorites, which is don't give up. Don't give up. No means nothing. No just means you need to find another way. I was told by a professor, I went to Illinois State University, where many of my friends who are still performing and doing theater, I will say that I gave up. I'm not acting anymore, but I found something that I'm just as passionate about as acting and theater. Now, my professor told me, she said, you will be successful. Don't give up. And she told that to all of us. And while many of our friends have gone on to do other things, many are still performing. And then finally, the most important thing that theater has taught me is to say yes and in marketing and in leadership. Oftentimes I'll sit in meetings and I'll hear people say, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. Or it's been that way for 20 years. Why do you think you can change it? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy enough to change it. What if we said yes? What if we built on it? What if somebody has an idea, which we all know might not work, but what if we use that as the impetus for another idea and another idea and another idea, and eventually we get somewhere, right? We get somewhere new. We are going through a pandemic, a crisis right now. And I always say, do not lose sight of a good crisis, right? Don't lose an opportunity in a good crisis. Take this opportunity to look at the way you do your business, the way you market to your customer, the way you understand your customer, and change it, build on it, break it down and put it back together. So you don't hear no and you just hear yes and. What an amazing feeling if you went through the day and you said, I'm just going to say yes to things today. I'm going to embrace things. And that's what I've done. When people say, how did you get where you were then to where you are now? How did you do that? I say yes. I said yes. If they said, could you take this on? Sure, I can. That sounds like a great learning opportunity. Can you go over here and help this person? Absolutely. It sounds like a great learning opportunity. Continue to bring in the information because guess what? The more we know, which sounds like a tagline, but the more we know, the better we are. Thank you for listening today. I look forward to connecting with you. Have a great day.